Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Hello everyone and welcome to your English class. In our lesson today, we'll continue with our first unit, which is titled Complaints. Our lesson today is the reading lesson in your books, page 12 and 13. All you need for the lesson today is your books, page 12 and 13, a sheet of paper and a pen to take down your notes. So let's get started. From the conversation lesson on page 11, you had a homework which is to imagine. If you were the salesperson in the salesperson position, what would you do? We're having a salesperson. We're having here a mom who is coming to return a pair of jeans. It wasn't defected. It was all right. However, she didn't like the style. Actually, she didn't understand that this is a stylish pant. These are stylish pants. They are not torn, not flimsy. What would you do? Would you give her the refund, or you will tell her about the style? You can tell her about the style if she's convinced. Then otherwise you have to give her her money back. Okay, for our lesson today, the reading lesson, by the end of today's lesson you will be able to read a text on Murphy's Law. Also, you will be able to answer some questions on the reading text, and you'll be able to recognize some new vocabulary from the reading text. Let's get started with this. How about the idea of luck? Do you believe that some people are simply unlucky? We all have heard some people who will say, I am an unlucky person, or they will say, I am lucky. Do you believe so? Some people are unlucky, others are so lucky. All good things happen to them. Okay, let's read the story. A 20-year-old guy has been driving for 5 years, but he has already been involved in 6 car accidents. Does he simply have bad luck, or are there other factors that might have caused him to have so many accidents? So, in only 5 years, we're having 6 accidents. Why do you think so? Do you think that this guy is an unlucky person? Or other factors? Maybe he is a careless driver. He doesn't know how to drive. For me, I believe that it could be that he is a careless driver or an aggressive driver. It is him, we can blame him rather than his luck. Okay. How about this statement, if anything can go wrong, it might go wrong. Do you agree or disagree? If there is a chance that this one is going to break down, it will break down. Do you agree? I think that everything happens for a purpose, so I disagree. Do you agree with that? You say, yes, things might go wrong. Yes, things might go wrong, but for a purpose. Let's read the text, and then we will come back to this one, and we will decide whether it is true or not. At the beginning in your books, page 12 and 13, I want you to scan through the text and answer the following. What is the title for the text? Go back to page 12 and you will find it. Usually starts with capital letters in larger font. It is about Murphy's Law. Murphy's Law. Notice the capital M, capital L. Then, how many paragraphs do we have? On page 12, we're having 4 paragraphs, and the 5th is on page 13, which is speaking about related topic, not the same, related, something which is similar. Then, what do the pictures show? We're having a picture on page 13 and 2 on page 12. On page 12, we're having a toast, a flipping toast. Toast that is flipping. It is buttered. We're having peanut butter on it or jam, and it is flipping. Also, we're having a traffic light, red. The sign is red. And on page 13, you can see here we're having a fuzzy TV. We're having lines, fuzzy TV screen. Okay, so let's get started with the first paragraph. In the first paragraph, you will listen while you're reading to find out the answer for these 2 questions. Why was the fuzzy TV image mentioned? We're having the fuzzy TV story. Why is it here? What is Murphy's Law? So it states that this and that. Let's listen together.
You invite your friends over to watch a final football match on TV. There are plenty of juices in the refrigerator, you have bowls filled with your favorite snacks on the table, and you are all set to watch the big match. You turn on the TV set, and all you get are fuzzy images on the screen. Could this be Murphy's Law at work? Murphy's Law states, if anything can go wrong, it might go wrong.
So we're having here the story of the fuzzy TV that you are ready to watch the match with your friends. You're having your snacks ready, and when you turn on the TV, you have fuzzy image. It is the unsuitable time. Why this story is mentioned? In here, it gives an example of bad things happen at wrong time. Usually we say that the TV will break down when I need it. The pencil will be, I will lose my pencil when I have a test or when I need it. So it is mentioned. So wrong things happened at the wrong time. What is Murphy's Law? By the very end of this paragraph, it was mentioned that if anything can go wrong, it might go wrong. Murphy says that if anything can go wrong, it might go wrong. Here in the first paragraph, scan and try to find a word that means many, various, different. Not one, we're having many. A word that is plenty. Plenty of sodas, plenty of juices. Not only one, we're having different. Also, can you find a word that means unclear and vague? Something that is not clear. The TV was, we're having a fuzzy image. Fuzzy, you can't see anything. We're having lines. Fuzzy image. The second paragraph in here. Listen and try to find the answers for these two questions. What examples of things go wrong was given? We're having many examples for things that went wrong. How did Robert Matthews do with these events? How did he explain these events? Let's listen.
Similar situations occur all the time. When you're in a hurry to open the door and you try several keys on the key ring, the last remaining key is usually the one that works. When you're late meeting your friends and they're all waiting for you at the mall, all the traffic lights are red. When you get in a line at the supermarket, you find you've chosen the slowest one, and it just doesn't move. Is this bad luck or coincidence? According to British physicist Robert Matthews, it's neither one nor the other. He explains that our selective memories tend to remember the bad episodes more readily than the things that usually work out. Also, the law of probability is more against us than in our favor in many situations. For example, in the supermarket with 5 cashiers, the chances of getting the fastest lane are 20% and 80% for a slower lane.
Okay, so what examples were given in here for things that can go wrong? We're having 3 examples. The first one, the last remaining key is usually the one that works. The red traffic light when you are late, and choosing the slowest line in the supermarket. Usually when you're having a key ring or a keychain with many keys, if you want to open the door, the last one is the correct one. Also, we're having here the traffic light. When you are in a hurry and you're busy, you want to catch a meeting, you want to get to a meeting or to meet friends, all the traffic lights are red. And also in the supermarket, whenever you choose a line, whether the first or the last one, it's always the slowest line. So is it coincidence? Does it come, it is unplanned, or you are an unlucky person? Here we're having a scientist whose name is Robert Matthews. He came up with explanations for these. What did he say? He gave 2 explanations for these things that went wrong. Our selective memories tend to remember the bad episodes or bad events. Also, the law of probability is more against us than in our favor. So there are two explanations for that. Number one, we only can remember, our brain can only remember bad events, bad episodes, things that happened wrong for us. And the second thing, just like in the case of the supermarket line, if we're having five lines, then you will choose one. The chance of choosing the fastest is 1 to 5. Yes, it is 1 to 5. It means like 20% to choosing the slowest, which is 80%. So we're having two explanations for that. Let's go back to the same paragraph number 2, and you will find a word that means happen. Which word means happen? To happen is to occur. These things happen to me, they occur to me. Something is not planned, an unplanned event. It happened without planning. It is coincidence. A coincidence, you haven't planned for it, it just happened. Like meeting a friend without planning, or let's say anything that happened without planning. Events. These events occur, these episodes or events. How about the law of possibility? Maybe this or that, 20 to 80, 1 to 5. We're having this is the probability, probable or possible. Okay, we're still speaking about Matthews, and I want you to come up with the answer for this question. How did Matthews prove his point? He's having a point. This is not coincidence, nor it is bad luck. It is the law of probability. So what did he do? He is trying to prove that he is right. Let's listen to the paragraph.
Matthews became a popular scientist when he proved that a piece of toast doesn't necessarily fall on the floor on the buttered side. BBC television gathered 300 people to throw pieces of buttered toast up in the air and observe on which side they fell. Half fell on the buttered side, and half didn't.
So how did Matthews prove his point? He wanted to prove that it is the law of probability. So he brought, we're having 300 person, and he gave them a toast which is buttered, and they flipped it into the air, and he is like putting numbers. Then he found out that 50%, it means 150, fell on the buttered side, and 150 fell or landed on the unbuttered side. So it is the law of probability. So what did he do? Actually, he gathered 300 people to throw pieces of buttered toast up in the air. And he observed, he watched carefully on which side they will fall. Then half fell on the buttered side and half didn't. They fell on the other side. So it is the law of probability, not bad luck. And the same paragraph, can you find a word that means well-known? Matthews was a well-known scientist. He was popular, well-known. What do we mean when we bring people together, come together? It means to gather. He gathered 300 person together. Then watch carefully. He was watching carefully and he was taking notes. It's not about the idea of just seeing it. It is to observe. Was taking notes while he's watching. Then he found 150 here and 150 there. The last paragraph, number 4. Try to find the answer for this question. Who to blame for things that go wrong? Who can we blame? Let's listen.
Just remember that you cannot blame Murphy's Law for everything that goes wrong. If the hot water runs out while you're taking a shower, it's probably because the hot water heater needs to be fixed. If you miss the bus and are late getting to school, it's probably because you didn't wake up early enough. And if you lose all your files on the computer, Let's be honest, it's your fault for not having a backup of your files.
So, we have all known that it is the law of probability. However, who can we blame? We can't blame our lucks. We can blame in here, it is not always Murphy's law. The hot water needs to be fixed. You didn't wake up on time and you forgot to back up your computer. Just go back and check things that you haven't done before. Now it is the time to blame someone else. It could be you and it could be any other one. It is not Murphy's law, which is not your luck. Let's try to find a word that means a backup. What do we mean with a backup? A backup is actually a copy. If you don't back up your computer, you don't make an extra copy from your files on your computer. How about a mistake? A word that means mistake. Mistake is a fault. Something that is wrong, which is a fault. Okay. Now, back to page 12 in here. Underline all the sentences that talk about something that went wrong. What are the things that were mentioned in the text? And they mean that one episode, one event that went wrong. Like when we're speaking about the fuzzy image on the TV screen. Once you invited your friends, then the latest remaining key is usually the one that works. All the keys won't work except for the last one. Also, you choose the slowest line in the supermarket. When you are at the supermarket, your line is always the slowest. Also, the hot water runs out while you're having a shower. Also, the car breaks down on the way to a job interview. And also, losing all your files on the computer. These are the actions or the events, episodes that were mentioned for bad luck, or let's say things that went wrong. Okay, now speaking about Murphy's law. However, who's Murphy? Murphy is, we're going to listen to information about him. So it is about his biography. Let's listen and you will find the answers for these two questions. What was Edward Murphy doing? And what is Murphy's law? Let's listen.
Captain Edward A. Murphy. Captain Edward A. Murphy, Jr. was an engineer at Edwards Air Force Base in the United States. In 1949, he was working on a machine to measure the heartbeat and breathing of pilots. But something was malfunctioning in the equipment as the result of human error. Murphy blamed the lab technician and said, "If there is any way to do it wrong, he will." One person's failure can bring a whole project crashing down. And Murphy's view was that some failure or something negative will typically happen. Murphy's phrase became popular in all areas to explain the failures of everyday things.
So, what was Edward Murphy doing? He was an engineer at Edwards Air Force Base in the United States. So he wasn't a pilot, he works with pilots, however, he was an engineer. And what was he doing? He was working with a machine that measures the heartbeat of those pilots. However, that one malfunctioned, it means it breaks down, it didn't work well. And that's why he came up with his law, his famous speech, which is, if anything can go wrong, it might go wrong. If any situation could happen, it will happen. It might happen. And it went viral, everyone have known about it, then it spread and it was called Murphy's Law. Let's try to use these words. We're having episode, malfunctioning, backup on all fours. The final of my favorite series will be on TV tomorrow, which is the episode, the events of my favorite series. The baby was crawling about using what? His feet and his hands on all fours. Make a of any work you do on your computer, you will need a copy, a backup. The machine made a loud clanking noise, the malfunctioning. Just like if a car is not working, then it will give you a clang or a noise, malfunctioning. And as you can tell, the mal in here, it is a prefix, it means bad, malfunctioning, not working well. The after reading in your books, page 13, what does the example of the final football match illustrate? Let's read the example. You invite your friends over to watch the NBA basketball playoff game on TV. There are plenty of sodas in the refrigerator, and the popcorn is popping, and you are all set to watch the big game. You turn on the TV set, and all you get are fuzzy images on the screen. Why we will have this certain example, and it came at the very beginning of the passage. This one is telling you things seem to go wrong at precisely the wrong time. When it is not a good timing, everything will happen. How about what does Murphy's law state? The same first paragraph, the law states if anything can go wrong, it might go wrong. So, if anything can go wrong, it will or it might go wrong. Question number 3. According to Robert Matthews, how does the law of probability work against us in the supermarket line? You can find the supermarket line, and in the supermarket with 5 cashiers, the chances of getting the fastest lane are 20% and 80% for the slower lane. So, because the chances of getting the fastest lane aren't high, if there are 5 lines, our chances of getting the slower is 80%, more likely to take the slowest lane. The last question, why did Matthews do the buttered bread experiment? What did it show? He had a point of view, and he wanted to prove it. So, the answer in here, Matthews became a popular scientist when he proved that a piece of toast doesn't necessarily fall on the floor on the buttered side. So he wanted to show that although people think that bad things always happen, things happen according to the law of probability. So it's not bad luck, and it is according to the law of probability. 50% in here and 50% on the buttered side. Now on page 13, we're having the discussion part. Give examples of Murphy's law using your own experience. Have you ever been through a bad day? Like when you wake up very late that day, then you miss the bus, then you miss the class, then bad things happen to you. How about when you need your computer? Then you find out that it breaks down, it crashed. When you have a test, then you find out that you left your books at school. So bad things usually happen at the wrong time. Do you believe in Murphy's law? Why or why not? You can say, yes, I believe in it, because bad things happen at precisely the wrong time. Or you will say, I believe much more in the law of probability, more likely in science rather than in luck. After reading about Murphy's law, we're having which states if anything can go wrong, it might go wrong. We still have the question, do you agree or disagree? If you disagree, you will say, no, I am an optimistic, I look at the bright side of life. If you will say, no, I believe in it and I agree with it, you will say, those people who are looking at the bad side of life, pessimists, they will look at the dark side. For your homework, I want you to think about this one. Have you ever been through a series of unlucky events, bad things that happened to you, and how can you explain it? Just like Matthews, when he explained his point of view. What happened? A series of bad events or bad episodes happened to you in one day. Why and how could you explain that? Okay, I guess that is it for the lesson today. And thank you so much for your time.